All right, so get this. We're going to talk about a creature that honestly spends its life in the gutter, but navigates by looking at the stars. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's dive into the absolutely wild secret of the humble dung beetle.
I mean, it sounds like a trick question, right? What could a humble ball of dung possibly have in common with the Milky Way? Well, stick around because the answer reveals one of the most unbelievable navigation systems in the entire animal kingdom. Seriously.
Okay, so to really get this beetle's secret, you first have to understand its problem. And trust me, it's a high-stakes drama that unfolds every single day out on the African savanna. And it all starts with a fresh pile of dung. You have to picture this, a fresh dung pile. It's like the Wild West gold rush. We're talking hundreds, maybe even thousands of beetles all showing up at once, fighting for the exact same thing. It is absolute chaos. Theft is everywhere, and only the smartest and fastest get to keep their prize.
So, not all dung beetles are created equal. They basically have three main strategies. You've got your dwellers, who just live in the dung pile. Then there are the tunnelers, who bury it right where they find it. But the ones we're talking about, our heroes today, are the rollers. Their game plan is simple. Grab a piece of the action, roll it into a perfect little ball, and make a run for it as fast as they can. And here's the thing, speed and efficiency are everything. If a roller messes up and starts rolling in a curve, they could accidentally circle right back to that chaotic dung pile. And you can bet another beetle is just waiting to steal their hard-won meal. So the only way to guarantee a clean getaway is to roll in a perfectly straight line, away from all that competition.
Okay, and this is where it gets really wild. They're rolling these dung balls backwards, using their back legs with their heads pointed straight at the ground. I mean, they literally can't see where they're going. So how on earth do they manage to keep that perfectly straight line? It seems impossible.
Well, the answer, as it turns out, has nothing to do with what's on the ground. It's all up in the sky. These little guys have a secret toolkit for navigating, a celestial toolkit so sophisticated it would probably make ancient sailors jealous.
All right, so let's break down this toolkit. During the day, it's pretty straightforward, right? They use the sun as a compass. Makes sense. But at night, that's when they get really clever. They can actually navigate using the polarized light from the moon. That's a pattern of light completely invisible to our eyes, and it's like 1,000,000 times dimmer than sunlight. And get this, what if the sun is directly overhead, so it's a useless guide? They've even got a backup for that, the wind. They can feel the constant direction of the wind and use it to keep going straight.
Okay, but here's the ultimate test. What happens on a clear but totally moonless night? The sun's gone, the moon's gone. What on earth could be left to guide a tiny beetle pushing a ball of dung across a dark landscape? Well, this is where our story goes from just clever to absolutely cosmic. This quote, it just perfectly captures that aha moment. You have to imagine these scientists out in the Kalahari Desert under this incredible night sky. The Milky Way is just this brilliant band of light stretched out above them. And that's when it hits one of them. If we can see that, they must be able to see that. It just clicked. Why couldn't the beetles see it too?
But here's a really important detail. The beetle doesn't see the night sky like you and I do. They're not looking up and spotting Orion's belt. Their eyes just aren't strong enough to see individual stars. So to them, the Milky Way isn't a collection of stars. It's just this big, blurry, bright stripe painted across the sky. It's like a giant glowing highway in the darkness.
So, to prove this wild theory, the scientists had to get pretty creative. First, they put the beetles inside a planetarium. They projected a fake Milky Way onto the dome, and sure enough, the beetles rolled in a straight line. They turn it off, the beetles just wander around aimlessly. Then, and this is my favorite part, they made tiny little cardboard hats for the beetles to block their upward view. And what happened? The beetles with hats were completely lost, just rolling in circles. It's definitive proof. They ignore everything on the ground and are looking only at the sky.
So you might be wondering, how does a big, blurry stripe give your direction? Well, it's all about contrast. The Milky Way isn't just one solid brightness. It has brighter parts and dimmer parts. Like the southern arm is brighter than the northern arm. The beetle's tiny brain is sensitive enough to detect that difference, that gradient of light. It's like finding the edge of a shadow. They lock on to that difference in brightness, and that's what keeps them on that perfectly straight path. Incredible. So, let's just pause for a second. A tiny beetle navigates by the light of our galaxy. That is an absolutely mind-blowing feat of evolution.
But this connection between the most humble job on Earth and the grandest thing in the sky has made this insect super important to people for thousands of years in ways that are both really practical and also deeply spiritual.
Okay, let's talk about the practical side first. This number is just, wow. $380 million, that's how much dung beetles save the U.S. cattle industry every year. By burying all that dung, they're fertilizing the soil, loosening it up, and getting rid of pest flies. They are literally nature's most important and maybe most underrated cleanup crew.
But it goes way beyond just the practical stuff. Their importance is also deeply cultural. Long before scientists figured out their starry secret, one ancient civilization held this beetle in the highest regard. I'm talking about the ancient Egyptians. To them, this wasn't just a dung beetle, it was the sacred scarab.
The Egyptians looked at this beetle rolling its ball and saw something cosmic. They connected it to their god, Khepri, the god of the rising sun. They believed the beetle rolling its dung ball across the ground was a direct reflection of Khepri rolling the sun across the sky every single day. So the scarab became this incredibly powerful symbol of creation, transformation, and rebirth. It was so important that they would place scarab amulets over the hearts of the deceased, hoping it would guarantee their resurrection in the next life.
It's just the perfect story, isn't it? An animal that literally spends its life in the dirt but is guided by the heavens. And it leaves you with this one big question, right? If a brain the size of a tiny poppy seed can navigate by the light of distant galaxies, what other incredible wonders are we just walking past every day, totally overlooking?